Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stop what you're doing. Stop playing the game. Stop watching movies. Ain't no TV shows. You can eat. Ain't no cooking, no. Because over here is just hoops. I'm Amari. This is Darion. Today we gonna be going through the our women's conference basketball prediction winners. Um, but first, how you feeling, bro?
Feeling good. New week, new blessings every week. Get to watch basketball, get to talk basketball. Can't complain.
Can't
Uh,
complain at all.
you know, you had a you had a day yesterday, had some spring games. How those go for you?
So we played two games in the same day, two 60-minute games. The first one was against a JUCO. I didn't really play that much in that one. I played like the last 10 minutes. We were already losing 1-0 when I came in. Game ended 1-0. Second game was a lot better. We tied 0-0, but as a team, working out the kinks and first spring game, getting the legs under us and stuff. It was a lot better game. I played the whole game in that game. I was gassed though. I haven't played a full game since November, beginning of November. Bro, I was blown by the end.
Yeah, 60 minutes too. Yeah,
Yeah, bro. I can't even imagine if they would have said we was going 90. I would
hey,
have passed out, bro.
that soccer stamina different.
Yeah, and I mean it's like you get times to rest during the game, but like the high intensity running, like you never know, first of all, when it's gonna happen, how long
Yeah,
it's gonna happen for. And there's times where you gotta go like sprint back, then you got to sprint forward, then sprint back again. Like the up and down is what gets you. And I mean, you find times to rest. Like I'm always walking around a lot, like to find my times to walk and light jog. But yeah, bro, that conditioning different.
yeah. I'm already knowing. I get tired running up and down the court. Ain't no way I could go do a soccer game.
Yeah, bro. But basketball, like, I feel like people don't understand basketball. Like, you think you get timeouts and the court's small, like it's not as hard, but
Nah, basketball.
playing defense is like playing defense for 24 seconds, like fighting through screens, like you gotta really move your feet. Like that's tough.
It is tough. And then offense, a good offense, you're never standing still. You're always
Right.
moving. So yeah, basketball, it really is a game of on your feet the whole time. You don't
Yeah.
really break if you're playing the right way.
Right. Right. Yeah, bro. Defense, like that's the most killer part for me.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
whenever I'm playing, bro, fighting through screens and like, hey, just switch.
Yeah, when I
Just
get
switch.
tired, when I get tired, we switch everything.
Switch everything, bro.
Ain't no way.
Yeah. Last episode we was talking about the contenders and pretenders. We didn't get to the top like 4 or 5 in the
I go
West.
for it. Yeah.
I think we touched on Houston, right? Or did we? I don't think we did.
Who's the team under Houston?
The Clippers. I think we ended on the Clippers.
Touched on the Clippers. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
so. Yeah, we didn't touch on Houston.
We both had them as pretenders though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they're having a really good regular season. I think that there's some buy-in for them to do in the offseason. I do think that they're a star away from being like really contenders, and I don't feel like there's a rush for them with that. I don't see Fred VanVleet being on the team when they do reach a level of contention. They got to figure out which young guys they want to really buy into and keep. And I feel like they're doing that this year, and it sets them up this offseason to make that next move in order to be contenders next year.
yeah. No, that I don't think Fred will be there either. And but even with them not being contenders, that's not a team I want to see first round. I think
Yeah.
young energy. They're coming in hot after a good regular season. That's a team you don't want to see on the other end.
And I mean, right now, if the season were to end today, the Grizzlies, who have fallen to 4, would play the Rockets in the first round.
I mean, I would like that matchup. I think it
From
would
a
be
spectator standpoint, right?
from a spectator standpoint, I would like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I could see that going six. I think Houston, I think they get two at home, their first two at home, but I think the Grizzlies would overpower them when it's all said and done. But I think that'd be a good matchup.
I, I don't know, bro. The Grizzlies are so inconsistent. Like, well, first, you never know. I mean, as far as regular season goes, I feel like this is why we're seeing them drop right now in the standings. Lakers number two now. I feel like that's why we're seeing them drop in these standings is because you never know when Ja's going to be out. Desmond Bain has been in and out of the lineup. And I mean, Jaren Jackson's having a really good season, but Jaren Jackson's not a player that can win a game by himself. You know what I mean?
If Jaren Jackson could rebound the ball, he 100% could win a game by himself.
Mhm.
But he cannot rebound to save his life. And I don't know what it is, but he can't rebound. But we dropped to four because two of our last four games we lost on buzzer beaters. It happens.
See, but you got to talk about it. Like we talked about those games where like you got to take care of business. The Spurs without
Spurs,
Wemby is a game you have to take care of
Spurs, you got
business.
to take care of business. Yes.
The Knicks, that's a tough game. Y'all had the lead though for majority of the game.
Yeah.
And all the guys were playing. The Suns took y'all to overtime. Ended up pulling that one out. The Cavs is a tough game. Then you got Magic Pacers, coming out of All-Star break. The Pacers,
I
I
think,
feel like as a Western Conference team, is a team that most of the contenders in the West are taken care of.
yeah. No, that Pacers game, that was rough. Coming, especially coming out of All-Star break, that's not a game where one, you don't get blown out coming out of All-Star break. That's just not acceptable.
Mhm.
Um, and like you said, any other team that's a contender in the West, they're taking care of the Pacers. Um, so that was a bad look, especially with that being one of the first times that you have a full healthy roster, nobody on the injury list. So yeah, that was a tough one, and it has been tough coming out of break.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the defense for the Grizzlies seems to be like dropping. I
Yeah,
mean, they gave up 130 against the Spurs in regulation, no OT. 151, like that's how much it was 151 for 148 to the Suns, but that was with overtime. But that's still a lot of points. That was what like the
yeah, highest.
highest scoring game
Mhm.
ever.
Was it ever?
It was a stat that
I
it was
knew
the
it
highest
was.
scoring game
Yeah,
some type of way. But I mean, do you have the Grizzlies contenders or pretenders?
I think I think they can contend. I think if they figure out something with John this shoulder, just to push through the playoffs and let him be able to play in the playoffs, I think that they can contend. The rest of the team is healthy. Everybody's good. You know, you got players having breakout seasons. Jaren Jackson Jr. You got Gigi Jackson back, phenomenal player. It's all there. I just think they have to piece it together, and I believe they're in a situation of this is a now or never. So it's either
Hmm.
this season or they're gonna have to make some changes, and they're gonna lose some valuable players.
I feel like I don't know if they can contend with this team right here. I think that they're in a more advanced situation than the Rockets, but I also think that the Grizzlies need to buy. We saw them linked to like Jimmy Butler, who he said he didn't want to go there, which I thought would have been a good pickup for the Grizzlies.
Yeah,
Um, Kevin Durant, like if Kevin Durant becomes available, I would like to see the Grizzlies as a team that try and buy that. Like that would be a really good look. I think that they're missing like Jaren Jackson has shown like this season at least that he's like star caliber player. I wouldn't say superstar, but like no all-star caliber player. John Morant shows flashes of his old self. I think with next season, with him getting back into the groove of things like fully, he'll be back to that level. I think Desmond Bain might be the piece that gets flipped. And I know Grizzlies fans like Desmond Bain, but if there's one piece that would go, I feel like it would be Desmond Bain.
I can't. I can't argue that. It hurts to say because eBay is a great player. He does what you want. It's just he's also not always there. He's not consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and his inconsistency shows the most.
Mhm.
Um, and it hurts the team when he's not there, especially when Ja's not available or Ja's not there. Then you're only relying on Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bain. You want the two to at least be able to be a consistent something and not bouncing between great and bad. And he's
Yeah,
bouncing. So
yeah.
yeah, I can see that happening, but it's okay. Katie, we'll see you this summer.
Hey, that would be a great pickup. And I mean, for the Grizzlies, like they have a lot of young pieces coming off that bench.
Yeah,
And with another year, that gives them, more what am I looking for? They're gonna evolve in the offseason, progress as players next season. Like Scottie Pippen has taken a big jump this year.
yeah, yes.
I feel like they don't. Has Gigi Jackson been hurt?
He was hurt majority of the season. He came back right before All-Star break.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking like they don't use Gigi Jackson a lot, but that makes sense now
Yeah,
that I know
now
he's hurt.
he was with the Hustle, the G League team, couple
Uh,
games. And then he played 2 games before break. So now he's just now getting into his consistent minutes.
Okay, okay. Vince Williams over there, Jalen Wells, obviously, rookie of the year candidate. Yeah, man, y'all got a lot of young pieces over there that could grow this offseason and a potential buy, I feel like will put y'all in a prime position to contend next year.
Yeah, the a bye would be a difference maker. Um,
Yeah,
you like I think it's like a situation with Houston. You like the youth, but you gotta give up some youth to get a vet that can help pull some weight. And I think it's
right,
that type of situation.
right. So the top three in the West, Denver, Lakers, Thunder. I feel like these are our main contenders.
Yes, Denver, I want to touch on
Mhm.
they went on that nice win streak,
Yeah.
but that win streak was against teams that were not in a position of a race
Mhm.
or in a good spot. And then they play the Lakers and get dominated. I think I would still put them in the contender category. I just think, and Jokic might be injured. Jokic has been, when they played the Celtics, he looked a little shook up and he was limping. And I think if they lose Jokic, the team falls apart and disassembles. But I just seeing them, how they were coming off that win streak and then playing a good team, how they handled that, it didn't look good in my eyes. And it it scares me a little bit with them to put them in the contender category, but I can't count out Jokic.
Right. I mean, even looking at it now, I have the schedule up here on ESPN. Um, they against good teams this season they've struggled. Like I'm back in December right now. Two losses against the Cavs this month. Um, Lost to the Suns, which I mean the Suns not even like a really contention team. But
Right.
if you go to the month that they went on the win streak, February. You're right. They beat the Hornets, the Pelicans twice, the Magic, the Suns, the Trailblazers twice, the Hornets, and then lose to the Lakers, beat the Pacers, lose to the Bucks, lose to the Celtics. And I mean that's been a trend throughout their whole season, and I do think that that's a concern if you're a Nuggets fan. Um, I don't know what's causing this. Because I mean, this is like almost the same roster that won a championship. Some pieces have moved around. No more
Right.
KCP. Um, what's bro name? Bruce Brown has been gone for a couple years now, but I mean, they've had the same recipe every year, and I don't really know why it's so different now.
Uh, that's the only thing I could think of would be, teams, the higher teams that are contenders, they're learning and they're adjusting. You make adjustments, you win games. And, I'm not saying anybody knows how to stop Jokic. You can't stop Jokic, but they make everybody else beat them. And when you don't have consistent players around a star player, they're bound to drop games like that.
Yeah. Jokic. I mean, we've seen. I viewed Jokic as a player that is unstoppable. And then I feel like seeing, that Lakers game, where Jokic only got 7 shots and how they were able to deny his touches, it kind of changed my perspective on it a little bit. Like, I mean, if teams can it takes a lot. Obviously, it took a
Yeah,
lot
it
for the Lakers
does.
to be able to do that. And, in a 7 game series, obviously, Mike Malone makes adjustments to try and get around that. But I feel like that kind of gives teams a recipe to build off of on how you can limit Jokic. And obviously, you never count Jokic out in the playoffs. But I feel like I don't know if they're as scary as a team as we've seen them in the past couple years.
No, yeah, they're definitely not a threat, or they're still a threat, but they're not the threat that they once were.
Right,
Um, and I feel like in seven, I think you'd be a little more faithful matching up against them than in previous years.
right, for sure. I mean, a team that would be more faithful, I feel like, is the Los Angeles Lakers, who are the number 2 seed right now. Um, I mean, the Lakers look good, bro.
And
I don't, I, they play good defense, force turnovers. The energy seems to be there. Luca's starting to gradually play better and better. Like, the Luca and Bron dynamic is working. Bron's playing out of his mind. This is no Austin Reeves right now. I was concerned about his injury, but it's not that bad of an injury. He'll be out for a couple games, but he should be day to day soon. Jackson Hayes is playing good as we thought that would be the piece that, you know, limits their success, but I have no complaints right now about the Lakers.
yeah, how can you complain? They're doing everything that people thought they were gonna do and more.
Right.
I think Vando is the difference maker on the defensive end. He's a headache.
Uh,
All he does is he just disturbs the other team's offensive piece. And I think if you can disturb another team and you have great players like Braun and Luca on the other side of the ball who can make a play at any given moment, you're bound for success. It's a great recipe. And then you have, JJ Redick. He takes so much time to understand these players that he knows how to put them in positions to get everything to work.
he's a mastermind.
He's a mastermind. He just gave him a 26-year-old who, is one of a kind. He's gonna figure it all out, and it's just nothing but time. It's just gonna
Yeah.
get better with time.
I mean, the Lakers, like looking at the Lakers around Bron and Luca, you have to have a lot of dirty work guys.
Yeah,
And they have that. Jameson, the big, I saw a quote from him today. He said something about the Lakers bench, like, you gotta fight us if you
yeah.
want to win. Like, I feel like they have dogs around Brian and Luca. Like, you let them do their thing on the offensive end. They've gone away, I feel like, from sets. I feel like when the Lakers were like beginning of the season with Anthony Davis, they were still running a lot of sets. But now the offense looks more like get the ball to Brian and Luca in spots that you want and just let them let
I
them
mean,
create.
do you need sets where brought
You
him
don't need
the
sets
court?
anymore. Like
They see
you have
everything.
you have two of the highest IQ players in basketball. I feel like it's them two and Jokic,
Yeah.
highest IQ guys in basketball, and you have two of them on the same team. Like the sky is the limit.
How do you even, as a coach, how do you prepare to play the Lakers?
I don't know right now. I don't
Like,
know.
how do you
I mean, we see teams blitz Luca, but I mean, they blitz so high that once Luca drops it into the screener, like you're 4-on-3 in
yeah,
such an open space. And the Lakers have solid shooters right now. This is the first time as a Lakers fan since LeBron's been there that I feel like even the bubble year, this is the first time since LeBron got hurt in 2021 that I can say I go into every game expecting to win.
and, I can't like I can't say that's not true. Like they're living up to the hype.
They
Uh,
are.
like he said, it's the dogs, bro.
Hmm.
Everybody from the coaches to the last player on the bench, they want it. Everybody wants it.
Yeah.
And winner's mentality is going. You're gonna win if you have winner's mentality. And like you said about the blitzing, the high pick and roll is a killer, no matter what offense it is. If
Yeah.
you run high pick and roll successfully, you're bound to get an easy shot because of the attention it draws, and then it's such an awkward place that you can't recover once the slipper rolls. And then you're blitzing, like you said, one of the highest IQ players ever. That's just
Right.
you're setting your defense up for failure.
Yeah, bro. So Shannon Sharp and Stephen A have been talking a lot about Thunder, Lakers, who wins in seven. The Thunder, obviously, the last team we haven't talked about. I feel like there's not much to say about them as a why they're contenders. Obviously, one of the best teams in basketball. But in that matchup, Thunder Lakers, what are we swaying to right now?
I'm at this current moment in time, I'm going Lakers
Mm,
because I seen OKC be crackable when they blew their lead to Cleveland.
right,
This season we haven't really seen OKC drop a game when they had such a large lead. But seeing Cleveland come back, especially in that fourth quarter, and pull out a win, it made me see the youth in OKC and see the mental mistakes that a young player would make. And I think put them in seven. I think you'll see those mental mistakes happen again. And then, Braun is not going to make mental mistakes in a late game situation.
right.
And then got Luca, all these solid shooters around him. I just think that in seven, they would be able to overpower the Thunder. Maybe not physically, but mentally, they would be more there.
I feel like this is pretty like an even matchup all around. I think this is definitely a 7 game series. The Thunder health plays a factor.
Yeah.
With Chet, Caruso's been in and out.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like the Thunder this offseason made really good signings, Hartenstein, Caruso, that will benefit them in this playoff run and show the growth that they've made since last year when they got knocked out by the Mavericks, Timberwolves, one of the two. I can't remember.
Was it the Mavs?
I'm pretty positive it was the Mavs.
Mavs. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, they've shown the growth as a roster as a whole, and I think that they match up well against the Lakers. Shea, I'm pretty sure Shea probably gets the Luca assignment. Jada probably gets the Braun assignment. Um,
Or do you I mean, you could go Shea or Dort, really.
I forgot about Lou Dort. I'm tripping. Yeah, Lou Dort probably gets the Luca assignment, or they might
I
flip. I
mean,
mean,
because,
they can match up either way.
yeah, especially with AR being there. If AR is there, they
Yes,
could go
Shea
either
get the
way.
AR assignment. Yeah,
Yeah.
they match up really well. This will be a really. I mean, I feel like the Thunder match up with the Lakers better than the Lakers will match up with the Thunder.
Yeah.
Um, I bet Finney Smith probably gets the primary assignment on Shea. When Vando comes off the bench, I'm positive he'll be the guy. You probably go. I don't know. I don't know the rest. I feel like size. Austin Reeves is a pretty good defender. Somebody that they have on a lot of, you know, better players. But I don't know if the size works out with him and J-Dub.
Yeah, I think he's too small for J-Dub.
Right, right.
I mean, you could go Braun on Jay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because Braun's buying in on the defensive side of the ball in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
In the playoffs,
He's
Braun
buying in
plays
for sure.
defense. Yeah.
Yeah. They play 2 times in April. They play back to back actually. Um Before the end of the season, which that'll be good. Hopefully the Lakers keep winning and there's some, it
Hey,
means something.
if the Lakers close that gap,
Oh
they're
man, those
they're
games would
back,
be
what,
crazy.
10 and a half?
That 10.5 is crazy.
If they close a 10.5 gap,
They have 16 games left in March plus 7 games in April. If they close that gap,
if they close that gap, everybody in the league should be worried.
yeah, for sure. For
No
sure.
doubt.
For sure.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a crazy. They were 6 seed when this trade happened.
They're two.
Yeah, that's wild.
And granted, 2 through 5 was one game apart, but
Well, now the gap has widened. Um the Lakers and Nuggets are both 10.5 back from the Thunder. 11 for the Grizzlies, 12 for the Rockets, and then 17 for the Clippers. So now it's kind of become a 6 through 10 is 17 to 17 and a half games behind. And then you have the Suns on the outside looking in 21 and a half games behind. So I mean, it's starting to widen out. We're starting to get some implications of what the final playoff picture will look like, and it's going to be exciting to see going down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be a good playoff year. I can feel it.
Yeah, yeah. And good thing we have in the middle March festivities going on.
Best
Um,
best month of the year.
yeah, yeah, a lot of hoops about to happen with women's and men's. We have our predictions for the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and Missouri Valley. Got to represent the Braves. Through the Missouri Valley in there, we have predictions for each conference winner for the upcoming tournament. I'm not sure, but almost every conference had their winner already for the regular season standings.
Yeah.
Big Ten, does Big Ten have the winner?
Um, I don't think it's set yet, but it's gonna be USC as long as they are. No, with their season's over. So yeah, USC.
Yeah, I know the other conferences have more teams in it. I was looking at their conference tournament start sooner than the Missouri Valley. The Missouri Valley has games Thursday and Saturday that will ultimately determine the final regular season standings. There's three teams tied at the top: Missouri State, um, Murray State, and Drake,
Yep.
all tied at the top, 14 and 5 in conference play. So it'll be exciting to see how that plays out. But what you want to start with?
We can start Big Ten.
Bet. That's what's first on my list. So let's start with the winner.
I got USC, 17-1 in conference play. And when you knock off UCLA, who was number one twice, and that being your rival, and you knock them off twice, I think that just shows you're the most dominant in the conference. Um, they match up with everyone well. You got Juju, of course, you know what Juju does, National Player of the Year, but their defense is incredible. Juju, you see Juju with these blocks and steals and all that. They average 11 steals a game. They out rebound teams very well. And a lot of these teams that I have winning have this, but they shoot the ball better than every team they play, like by a margin, a good margin.
Mhm.
Uh, so they take good shots. They don't force shots. They make it easy on themselves. So that's why I have them winning the conference.
Yeah, I have USC as well. I feel like the gap between the top teams and the rest of the teams in women's college basketball is pretty large
Yeah.
at every level. I feel like you see the top teams always, blowouts against, bottom teams in the conference, middle teams in the conference. Um, I feel like USC kind of just stands out to me because of, first of all, what they did to UCLA and how they handle their business against all the other teams in the conference. UCLA, the reason I don't have them winning conference is because I feel like they just beat teams based on being bigger than them.
Yeah, they do.
Uh, UCLA, they're a big team, led by Lauren Betts, 6'7", 6'7". Uh,
Over two. As soon as you said it, I knew it was coming.
she's 6'7". In USC, we saw they shut her down each time that they played. I have here in the first game, she scored 18 points, but was 5 for 13. And as a big, that's somebody that's not shooting jumpers. That's very bad.
Yeah,
Then in the second game, 11 points, 5 for 11. And UCLA, I feel like is a team that plays around her. Whereas USC also plays around Juju, and how Juju performs is a big piece of if they win or not. And Juju has shown time and time again that she's a big game player, which is why I have USC coming out of the Big Ten.
yeah. No, I can agree with that. And then the only game they lost was against Iowa. And that Iowa game, Iowa just they shot amazing. And Caitlin Clark was there, so the energy was just high for Iowa. And they got outplayed, but then every other game they've played, they've been the dominator, and I don't see that changing in the tournament when, has some value behind it.
Right, right. Me too. Um, let's move on. I have second here, SEC. That cool?
Yep. Yep.
So this conference is probably the toughest one.
Yeah.
The quality of the teams I feel like is the highest. Who you got as winner,
So I was debating between Texas and South Carolina.
right?
I just South Carolina, I just feel like Coach Stanley, she's not going to allow it. They drop they're both 15-1 in conference. They have this Texas has one less loss than them on the season. So like their record is pretty identical. And looking at the numbers, their numbers are identical as well. They both outshoot teams. They both play fast, play aggressive, and they played each other. Um, South Carolina, they won. They won their first time they played, I believe, by 3 points. But the second time they lost by 9 or 10. So, I mean, they
You
match
talking
up.
about South Carolina, Texas?
Yeah. Um,
Go ahead.
so I just Texas, I just think it's not even that they're worse than South Carolina. I just think South Carolina and Coach Stanley are just more poised, and they've been in these big moments. Texas has been in big moments as well, but they know how to do this. They have three players averaging double figures, 10 steals a game. I they play. I don't. I just have them. I think it'll be a close game. A third match between the two, but I got South Carolina pulling through.
So yeah, I have South Carolina as well. I really hope we don't have the same winners for every conference. I have South Carolina as well. I have a couple of different reasons. First of all, I even went as deep as to figure out where the tournament was being played. Tournament is in Greenville, South Carolina, only
Yep.
an hour and 30 away from Columbia. So it's definitely gonna be deep in there for South Carolina. Second, in a tournament where it's one game elimination, I feel like a team that wins games by committee is better off than a team that'll rely on a star player. And Texas, I feel like, is a team that relies on Madison Booker, whereas South Carolina is a team that wins by committee. South Carolina, their leading scorer is Chloe Kitts with 13 points per game. We saw in those two games, I had the numbers here. That's why I was asking you. The first one was at Texas, and they only lost by four. Madison Booker shot 7 for 22 in that game, and they barely edged out that win. Now the other game at South Carolina, Texas lost by almost 20. And in this game, Madison Booker shot 3 for 19 and had 7 points.
Yeah.
And this shows you that one-off game from the star player can throw off, the whole team. And, Texas is a team that doesn't shoot a lot of three-pointers. They'll go plenty of games without with shooting zero threes. South Carolina, though, as well, I was shocked to see that, in a lot of their big games, they only make like they could make 3 to 5 threes and still win the game. And that shocks me with both teams, knowing how good that they are on a national standpoint, that both of them have limited shooting. And South Carolina, even when they win games like the game against Texas when they won by 20, their highest scorers had 11 points.
Mhm.
And a team that can win like that, I feel like is better off in a tournament setting that, doesn't rely on a single person.
Yeah, and I would say that has been proven with teams that have, multiple players, multiple successful players rather than a team that has one or two guys. Um, and we've seen it with the South Carolina team as well. They always have a roster full of players who want to play together, and they all put up the numbers that they know can. They don't have anybody selfish, and they never have. And I think that will pull them through another year.
Yeah, for sure. That will be interesting. LSU, I can't see them competing with those two. I mean, they played Texas and it was really close at Texas. We talked about that game on here when UConn blew out South Carolina at home. Um, I just don't feel like they have the depth to
Yeah.
compete with these two teams. It's kind of reliant on, their big three, Morrow, Flau'jae, and Michaela.
Mhm.
I feel like they're really relying on those three, and they don't have the depth to win this tournament.
Yeah, and I don't know their record off the top of my head, but I know they've dropped more than they should have.
Right,
And you got two teams top of the conference, 15-1. They take care of business rather you dropping a couple. It shows.
right, right. The last two conferences I feel like are real toss-ups. Uh, I feel like these both are more toss-up than the other two we picked, both the regular season winners. For ACC, who you got?
I was debating as well, but I went with Notre Dame. Their 1-2 punch. Hey, bro, I was going with Notre Dame. I
Bro,
talking about Hannah and Olivia. They're nice, bro, and that 1-2 punch is crazy. You know, their record. I think they've lost one in conference play. Two. They lost two. They lost back to back. Florida State
yeah,
and NC
they
State.
lost to NC State. Yeah,
Um, but besides those two games, they have been very dominant. And after they drop those two, the next two games they win by 20. So I think that they won it. They're a gritty team. Backcourt is nice. And then you got Lutia King averaging a double double inside. A dirty work player to back up these two phenomenal point guards. They shoot the three better than any team they play significantly by like double. And they play defense. You've seen them play. They're gritty, and I think they just pull out even with these losses to NC State and Florida State.
yeah. I had Notre Dame as well. Best duo in the nation for me. Um,
No doubt.
I mean, they score at a high clip. Fifth in the nation in scoring, 86 points per game. Um, I mean, not a you covered a lot that I had to say about Notre Dame. I feel like it's gonna be hard to shut down both of them in the tournament setting. And I feel like the only way that a big team loses in these type of tournaments is if they're off. And I
Yeah.
feel like they've shown that they can consistently score at a high clip. Obviously, you don't become fifth in the nation in scoring. We're having a lot of off games. So I mean, I feel like that's really important. I do have a sleeper pick though. The sleeper pick for me is Florida State, number one in the nation in scoring, 88 points per game. Um, shooters on shooters on at Florida State. They did knock off um, Notre Dame once in the regular season. They're very inconsistent,
Mhm.
and depending on what Florida State we get in the tournament, that's why I have them as a sleeper.
Yeah, and I wouldn't count NC State out either.
Yeah,
Both of their losses really are teams that I could see beating them again. NC State, I saw some parts of that game when they lost, and they play uptight, no Brett defense. Like they just smuggle you, and it knocked the best duo in the country off their game a little bit, being played that tight. Um, so I could see their defense, getting them another win against this Notre Dame team.
yeah. I feel like with NC State as well. I I don't know if I'm being too critical because at the end of the day, they are co-champs of the ACC. But they had a lot of really close wins, and I feel like in a one game elimination tournament, anything could go wrong, and that knocks you out. And I feel like a lot of games where they should handle, like a game against Miami that they had. I'm pretty sure I don't know if they won by five or lost by five. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they, should handle business and end up being a close game. And Miami's a bottom of the conference team. You give teams hope like that in a tournament setting. One thing goes wrong and you're out. I feel like that's
Yeah.
my only negative with NC State.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I could counter that in opposite. Close games shows that your team could battle adversity and fight through. And I think being able to be the co-winner of a conference when you're able to pull out these close games against teams, I think that proves that in a one game setting, your team has what it takes to get it done. When it's said and done, they have that final push. And So I mean, I could see that as a positive for them, but understand your standpoint as well. It easily could be a negative.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be an exciting tournament to watch. It could go anyway. They have a
Yeah, I
lot of
can.
rank. They have what, five, six ranked teams in that
Yeah,
conference, along with the SEC, who also has a lot of ranked teams. But moving on to the last, probably the least known about conference, the Missouri Valley. Currently, we talked about it earlier a little bit. There's three teams in the Valley that are tied at 14-5 with two games to go. To win the regular season title. But those are Drake, Missouri State, and Murray State. Um, I have Murray State as my winner of the conference tournament.
no way
You
we
got
can.
the same thing. 4 for 4 is crazy.
4 for 4 is crazy.
Come on, man. Give me your reasoning. Let me hear your reason.
Um, well, with 2 games remaining, if they stay on streak as they are now, that would be 7 game win streak going into a tournament. Going into a tournament hot like that, it's usually a sign for greatness. They play well at home. Um, their best players averaging 20, Caitlin Young, and they have 3 players under that averaging double figures. They're a well-rounded team. And I took it to the quarter margins. They win every quarter margin
Mm.
very largely. And second and third quarter, they were in the 600s and their opponents were in the 400s on like a whole season combined.
What that
So
mean? Explain that a little bit.
so I don't have the exact numbers with me, but second quarter they were like 600 and something, and opponents were like 400 and something. So that means in the second quarters, that's where they pull their gaps in these games. They
Mm.
are able to space it out. That's their most dominant quarter. They take advantage in the third quarter as well. They were in 600s. They come out after the first and out of halftime. They come out hot and aggressive, and they pull through, make ways for these wins. And that's like the biggest gap that you see when they play these other teams. They in the second and third quarter, if you look at the box scores, that'll be the biggest gap that you'll see in the game. And it's like their greatest successor.
Yeah, now that you mention that, I mean, I was at the game here at Bradley when Murray State played here, and it was a pretty close game to start. And you look up all of a sudden after the second and third quarter, and they're up by 20.
Yeah.
I mean, they score at a really high clip. They were what, third in the nation in points per game, I believe. Yeah, third highest scoring team in the nation. They have three players that can really get buckets at all three levels. And watching those three play, one's the post, Miss Young, as you said. The other two, one's a shooter, but one came from Bradley, the second leading scorer, and it was real pro moves, bro. I was really impressed. Not gonna lie, it was some real pro moves out there. Not gonna lie.
The females with the pro moves, like it's just so entertaining to watch. Like when I went and saw Juju play, I was like, bro, she moves like she could go to the league and go get buckets.
Right,
Like
right.
it's just I get for the women's game, it's unorthodox. Like it's not natural.
Mhm.
And it is very fun to watch. It's amazing to see like that they have this ability and to see it on that level. It is fun to watch.
Yeah. So for the other two teams in this conference, because I do believe that it's not going to be an easy Murray State win at all. They lost to Drake once in the regular season, and that game Drake put up 92 points. I mean, it was like 92 to 86, something like that.
Great.
Not a lot of defense going on out there, but it takes a lot of time. I feel like a superhero effort for Murray State to lose. And they put up these points on a regular basis. Obviously, they're the third highest scoring team in the nation. Drake is up there as well. Missouri State, on the other hand, is more the South Carolina type, team oriented. Their leading score averages like 13 points per game. They're gonna play great defense, so it's gonna be a defense versus offense battle, and that's gonna be a toss up. Can they throw Murray State off their game? Because Murray State is not at all the best defensive team. They don't defend. Drake, I feel like is kind of best of both worlds a little bit. They have their leading scorer, who averages over 20 points per game, but they also have a committee behind her. Like you don't get to 92 points with just one person. They're not a slouch defensively. I feel like with Drake though, there's a lot of times that teams that they should beat, they play around with. Ends up being a close game. And once again, like NC State, you give these teams hope in the tournament. I feel like it could go another way.
I didn't I didn't read much into them. We were on time crunch trying to get started. But
Right.
I was or one thing I think that makes a team is winning the third quarter. I think the third quarter is the most important quarter of the game. You come out of
Mm,
halftime with adjustments, and you're adapted. You know what the other team's doing now. It's how can you manage to pull through and fight through and use what coach said in the locker room to your advantage and be able to separate a margin or close a gap. How can you do that? And I believe how you perform in the third quarter will dictate the fourth quarter of the game, dictate how it goes, what the finish will be.
mm,
I think with a game where three teams are tied in conference play, and like you said, it's not going to be easy. I think it's a team that can come out in the second half the hottest and control a game from you want to control the whole game, but if you can control the start of the second half and finish strong, I think you're more likely to be able to win a conference rather than a team that can start fast, finish slow.
right, for sure. Yeah, this one is in Evansville. The tournament's in Evansville. It's gonna be exciting to see how all this pans out. This tournament starts later than the other ones, as I said before. The other ones are starting
This week. I
this
know
week.
Big Ten starts Wednesday, the 5th.
Mhm. Okay.
I don't know when the other two start, but I would assume same plus minus a day. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you got teams battling in the first round. Some teams with a first round bye, some teams with 2 rounds of a bye.
mhm.
Your top four teams. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see. Hopefully our 4 for 4 predictions are correct. Um, I've been posing these questions though, random questions.
Yeah, you have.
Uh, got another one off the top of my head, just thought about it. Um, I want to make this a constant actually, might as well. Mari's question of the day.
Type.
Start bench cut, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, James Harden.
Okay, well, here's our disagreement of the day. We never agree on these, so
I'm
uh,
listening.
mm, I gotta start Kobe.
Yep.
Gotta start Kobe. Numbers
Yeah.
don't lie.
Yeah.
It's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Off the bench, I'm going D Wade. Um, D Wade in his prime, the Flash. He led the Heat to the finals without Braun before Braun got there. Then, with Braun there, he was still doing the same thing, still being that guy. And I just think with experience, you have rings under your belt. I'd rather take that instead of Harden, which is hard to say because who doesn't want a prime Harden on their team? I'm assuming this is all prime as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't want a prime Harden on their team? But I just think that, being able to win in the 2000s and that time, being able to get to the finals and win a ring during that time, I would rather have that than a player who one hasn't been there and two, um, has tried to lead and has fell short. I'd rather have someone who has led all the way there.
Yeah, I was really expecting you to go bench Harden. And cut D Wade. That's where I was trying to draw some controversy up. Because I would have flipped out. D Wade, he did lead the team to the finals by himself. I feel like that's the big separator between the two. James Harden, yes, the stats are amazing. Yes, the 2018 run was amazing, not seen before in our
Averaging
lifetime.
40.
He's averaging 40. Up there with Wilt Chamberlain numbers on the statistic boards. But I feel like the start Kobe is unanimous.
Yeah,
Um, depending on what you're judging based off of, if you want to judge off of pure peak talent, I think you do go Harden. But
yeah, for
as
sure.
far as how the careers went and accolades and all that involved, you got to go D Wade. The championship is the biggest prize in the league, and he did that. Led a team to that by itself, something that Harden, famously has never done, infamously has never done.
Yeah, but I mean, all props to Harden, who was getting through that. Our Golden State team. Let's be real.
Yeah, yeah. He was one game away. Maybe if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, they were up 3-2, right? And Chris Paul got hurt. Who knows? Maybe things go differently. Maybe the biggest what if that we've seen in the last decade.
Yeah, no, CP man. If I don't, I feel like he is always on the negative side of some good things that could happen. Especially in the playoffs. His luck never seems to go his way in the playoffs, and fortunately, he has the nickname CP Zero Rings.
Hey, that brings me an idea. We might as well do like a who can name the most players with no rings.
Right now.
Right now,
All right, Chris Paul,
James Harden,
Paul George,
Carmelo Anthony,
George Hill.
Tony Snell,
It's a good pull. Uh, okay, John Moran,
Luca,
um, De'Aaron Fox,
Anthony Edwards,
Wemby.
LaMelo Ball. Are we cheating? Are we cheating?
That's on me. That's on me. All right. Danny Granger,
Charles Barkley.
Isaiah Thomas.
You might have got me there, bro. Yeah, I was trying to think of like guys that really, really like, went their whole career without winning a ring. And
Yeah, the Wemby pool was crazy.
yeah, we start getting second year players and yeah, bro. Uh, but yeah, that's all I got for today. Um, Hopefully our conference predictions are right. Y'all share it, please share us. Tell somebody about us. I feel like we got good hoops talk over here. You know, laugh with us, tune in. You ain't got to watch the whole video. We got the chapters in the description. Go check us out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. And yeah, bro, that's it.
Yeah.
Catch y'all next time. Oh,
Yeah, I got some words of wisdom today.
my fault. Okay.
Don't take life for granted. And tell the people around you that you love them and be there for them. You never know when something can happen. So just make sure that the people around you know that you have love for them and are there for them, regardless of any situation.
Facts. Be smart, man. Be
And
smart.
be smart. Yes,
You
please.
you never know when this life could be taken away from you. Be smart. Thoughts and prayers to bro's family.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, bro, that's sad. But
Yeah.
we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.